back from our vacation in Kauai, and just getting everything kind of taken care of, checking everything on the ranch. We got the water turned on. I turned that water off in this tank and I used about 3/4 of it. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it back up now that I'm here. About the candy top. You see I set the standpipe, didn't ever get that low, the goldfish there. And now I've got the line turned back on. So we'll fill that up. This is, I remember right, I think it's a 20,000 gallon tank. So it used a little more than, probably used right around 13,000 gallons in the time we were gone. And there were 2 other water sources. The tank I was at, Candy Top, feeds this, what I call a square drinker. So the standpipe that I had up there that I had down pretty low, it draws it into there and through the pipeline, and it feeds this square drinker here. So they don't actually drink at that Candy Top tank up there. They're down in this other pasture. So this is the tank they'd be drinking out of. And it's still getting kind of cold. Still a little ice in the tank. This tank was built in '51. There's a little doggy calf there. It's been dogied since it was probably 2 or 3 weeks old. Was going to bring it in and thought, well, it's doing okay. It's stealing enough milk and surviving, so we just left it out here. It's doing pretty good. The cows look okay. There's some new calves that are hitting the ground too. There. So this is the valve box here. That valve shuts off the main line going any further than this tank. So water can't go past that. The tank here, just can go into the tank. And that line goes all the way down another mile and a half down there. I was up there at Candy Top tank. Big round tank up there. And then here these are, and this is what we call the Candy Top drinker, square drinker. This is the pasture they're in. Cottonwood seeps. Up there below the ridge there. There's a spring or a seep there. That's the water in there. And then as they go further west, they can water at another tank. And then the square drinker there. So this is that same pasture that candy top's actually in. That's the candy top right there. And I was up there where the drinker is, or the tank, candy top tank. And then the drinker's back over here. I have some mares on the other side, the goose side. This is the gate going back into the goose. So the goose tank is over the hill, right over there, at the bottom of the hill over there. For us to leave for any amount of time at the ranch, you know, if it's going to be Ensign, myself, and the family, that's basically who works here. Is myself, Nancy, Ensign, Danielle, Ross, and Connor does a lot too when he's not in school. And Ross is the same way. And we have some of the other family come out on brandings, kind of big events. But the everyday to-dos is done by just us. And so for us to leave for any amount of time, and when I say any amount of time, if it's over about 4 days, you need to really plan for it. So this last little vacation we took, it was a 10-day, and days basically of traveling, and the rest we were out doing whatever we were doing. So we know where these cows are going to be a year in advance. So we have to plan for that. So we have to make all of our management moves, our grazing moves, count our days, how many head, how many days of grazing. So that's something we have to plan, so that when we get to, like this time, you know, the February 2nd, we had 2 groups of cows and a group of heifers and a couple of groups of horses. So we have to make sure they're in the right pasture to where they'll have enough feed while we're gone, that the water will not be a problem, because there's only going to be one person here to take care of it. And it's not always the same person. This time it was my oldest daughter, Lara. She was able to stay here and take care of it. So she just kind of made sure the water was pumped. Nothing major. We try to put them in big enough pastures, and pastures that don't need a lot of looking after or maintenance. And we have a couple of those on both the north and the south side and the river. So we have to make sure those moves are right. We get there. She knows exactly what she has to do every day, just to check the water levels, make sure there's no floats broke, make sure the water is pumped as it needs to be. I usually turn off any major lines that could be a problem, whether from freezing or breaking because of heavy rain or whatever, washing out. So I'll make sure those kind of lines are turned off so that there's no problems. And the tanks where the animals are drinking are to the water source, and they have a good float system to where it's not going to be broke by animals getting in it, or you know, whatever else they can do to tear things up. So there's a lot of planning that goes into, and a lot of work prior to make sure everything's exactly the way we want it. And this year was no different. And so I'm just out kind of making the rest of the rounds as I've gotten back to make sure everything's okay. Open up some new water lines, get water flowing to tanks that they weren't flowing to previously, and just making sure animals are where they're supposed to be, and that things are right. So we did that yesterday. I didn't record anything yesterday. We did a lot yesterday. Today I'm going to record a little bit of it, but anyway, that's what I'm out, just kind of making sure things are good. I'm going to catch these coming 2-year-old colts, take them in and start them. Dunbar. He's going back in. Coming 4-year-old gelding. Had a light start on him. Some 2-year-olds we just brought in out of the pasture. Get them started. 2 fillies on the end by Salty. Colt right here in the middle by Mr. Junewood. Another colt right here, the Sorrel colt by Dash. A gelding in the middle here by Lynx, and a colt on the end by Salty. Here's a colt we're going to start by Dash. He'll be available now or after 90 days. There's a colt right there we're going to start by Salty. Colt on the end over here we're going to start by Mr. Junewood. Some fillies over there on the end by Salty. We'll be starting. They're not for sale at this time. And then there's a gelding right here in the middle that he had a light start earlier. He's by Lynx. And we'll just start riding him again, continue him on, and he'll be available.
Jerry?
Yeah.
What sickness did the cowboy get from riding wild horses?
Well, I guess that would be bronchitis.